Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit Acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
It is the Cam Show. It's Rogue Media Sports Network here on this Wednesday, hump day, from the remote studio in Evanston, Illinois. I do regret to inform you I've really railed on not James Taylor, Stephen King tweets before on this show. And James Taylor does fall into that same kind of, old, pretty liberal, kind of elitist, unfunny, too serious kind of Twitter game. But I'm afraid that James Taylor had kind of a banger on New Year's Day that I'm just noticing. A tweet of him on a beach, clearly wearing some like LL Bean, wearing a Ted Williams cap, like the retired number 9. He's got 2 pugs with him. It just says 2 pugs, 1 beach, 0 New Year's resolutions. Bang. That's kind of a banger tweet right there. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've just noticed this. It's just come across my desk. I'm gonna do the old Trump. Like, I'm just hearing this you're just telling me this for the first time. Kind of a banger. Kind of a banger of a tweet from James Taylor. Hasn't put out banger music in a long time, but he's old. He's like 80 years old. And we'll forgive him that he grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm Cam Stewart, Zach Burke, keeping us on the air. As promised, delivering a new jersey today, the Frozen Fenway 2010, which is just had the 15th anniversary. BU Terriers. It is a number 10. It just says Fenway Park on the back. But love this look with the Red Sox font to spell out Boston because they are Boston's team, with the skating socks on the side, hockey's patch, captain's patch, everything. Fantastic sweater. I've been looking for this for 10 years or so, maybe even more. And you'd find gamers, they'd be like $500. Found this for less than 100. It is a replica. It's a pretty good replica. It's kind of sized like a gamer, but a pretty good replica. So I'm here for it. It's got all the necessary patches. I absolutely love it. But that's neither here nor there that I've worn 2 absolute college hockey bangers 2 days in a row. Moving on with the show, which of course we lead it off with the Patriots coaching search. We will lead off the show with the Patriots coaching search until there is no more coaching search, until a few days after they have named their head coach. And now there is some controversy with the Patriots coaching search. Of course there is. They haven't really had one of these in, 25 years. And so there's bound to be some controversy with it. But this is coming from, I say within the Patriots media, not the national media, which I was a little surprised by, because when Gerard Mayo gets fired on Monday, we hear kind of the greatest hits of the people who've never lived in Boston, who don't know anything about Boston. And they're like, wonder why they fired a black guy after 1 year. And it's like, no mention of anything from the Raiders, who also fired a black guy after 1 year. Again, a former player, wasn't successful, didn't have any direction. But of course, they do everything right. The big bad bullies from Boston do everything wrong. So we heard a little bit of that, Bomani Jones and Stephen A. Smith and, the people that they play the greatest hits. And then Burt Breer got in on the action on Tuesday night with NBC Sports Boston. And I'm a big Burt Breer fan. I actually think he is one of the most level-headed guys that covers the Patriots, because when the Patriots were good, it was a lot of these cronies who would, never question anything the Crafts did. And then the majority of the guys who would get clicks would be the Ron Borgeses and the Ben Volans and the Mike Felgers, who would just try to find anything wrong with a thing that was going very, very well, and would insult you, the Patriots fan, for, celebrating that everything went well. I found it really tiring. And then there was Burt Breer, and is Burt Breer, who is not going to make up controversy for the most part, but he is going to hold the Crafts' feet to the fire. He's I think the beat guy who has held their feet to the fire the most this year, and he has been inside this organization. He has been the insider this year, last year when things have been going poorly, and has been right at the forefront for a long time. So all that to say, I am a Burt Breer fan, but he was very critical of the Patriots coaching search yesterday, because they announced they've requested to interview Ben Johnson. They are interviewing Mike Vrabel tomorrow, Thursday, and they have interviewed 2 candidates, Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton. So they have gone through 2 interviews already. Now, the obvious part of this is that they interviewed Leftwich and Hamilton to check the box of the Rooney Rule. Two minority coaches, two black coaches who have not coached in the league since 2022. And as Bert elegantly put it, probably are not even in contention for coordinators' jobs this year. And they are the first two interviewed by the Patriots. And Breer was slamming the Patriots for doing that and trying to circumvent the rules in a way. I don't think it is circumventing. That's not the right word, but he blasts them. He called it a sham. He says, I think it's complete garbage. Like, what gives you the right to skip the process that the Raiders have to go through, that the Bears have to go through, that the Jets have to go through, teams that are competing for them? What gives you the right to jump the line? They're talking about Mike Vrabel. He's talking about Mike Vrabel, of course. To which I would say they're not doing that. In fact, Mike Vrabel has already interviewed with one of the teams that you're talking about. And what it really comes down to is that the Rooney Rule is probably an outdated rule at this point. And I think the rule itself is a bit of a sham. I think it's insulting to minority coaches, if we're being totally honest. And I'm sure there's that argument still out there that there's not enough minority coaches in the NFL. And maybe that's true. I think there are plenty in the NFL. You know, Mike Tomlin's one of the most successful coaches in the NFL. Todd Bowles has put together a Coach of the Year campaign last year with Tampa and how that thing turned around. They're going to the playoffs again. So it's like, again, I'm in no position to say, oh, this is the right number of minority coaches or anything like that. But this rule of just, hey, you have to token interview someone is probably a bit outdated, because we do have a lot of minority head coaches and coordinators and front office members in the NFL. 25 years ago, we did not. The NFL was way behind, and it was not indicative of the people in certain football roles were not in major football roles. But it's not that way anymore, to the point where now this rule is insulting. And so are the Patriots just checking a box by interviewing Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton? Yes, they are. They are. But that's the way it's laid out for you. And they're not jumping the line. Mike Vrabel has interviewed with the Jets. They're second in line for that. And there's nothing to say, to go back to this report from Breer, or what Breer is saying here, there's nothing to say that the Raiders can't do the same thing. Like, why can't the Raiders just interview two diverse candidates that they have no interest in hiring and just get that over with? You know, there's nothing that says, hey, you can't do two token interviews right away. In fact, you only need to interview one, if I'm not mistaken, one diverse hire. So the Patriots went out there and interviewed two. Yeah, they got it out of the way. Guys who probably are not real candidates for this job. And now they are going to hire the guy that they want, or interview the guy that they want, I should say. But like, there's nothing in the rule books that says they can't do that. And to be quite honest, in the ultimate results-driven business, I don't think there's really anything unethical with that. Like, the Chargers last year interviewed 15 coaches or whatever it was, 10 coaches, and they knew it was going to be Harbaugh. In fact, they needed to do some before Harbaugh was done with his season at Michigan. But like, what's the issue with that? You know what I mean? It's like, now you're just wasting your time. And I do like that the Crafts are actually going through a process now and are actually interviewing guys. But if they just interviewed Mike Vrabel and then they hired Mike Vrabel and Mike Vrabel was successful, who cares? The problem with the Mayo thing was they didn't get it right. They didn't interview anyone with any kind of experience. Like, now they are going through a process, and now that process isn't good enough. This is what bugs me. It's Burt Breer taking this moral, ethical stand that A, I don't think he gives a shit about, and B, it's like they're following the rules. You might not like how they're following the rules, but they're following the rules. and they're going to interview 5 or 6 coaches, which is something I was calling for, and a lot of Patriots fans and analysts were calling for all this year when it wasn't working with Jerod Mayo of, hey, maybe you should have just interviewed somebody else. And now they are. And Byron Leftwich was a Super Bowl winning coordinator in this league. It's not like he's just a bum. You know what I mean? It's not like he can't be a head coach in this league. He won't be the head coach of the Patriots, but it's not like it's almost insulting to just say, oh, he brought in 2 schlubs who have no shot at being a coach in this league, and now they're going to move on to the white guys. To me, that's also insulting. So, no, I get it. I understand where Burt Breer's coming from. And in his core argument, he's right. These are 2 guys he doesn't want to hire, that Kraft does not want to hire, and they're moving on. But to me, this is a results-driven business, man. If you know who you want your coach to be, I have no problem with you getting to that coach no matter however you want to. And the Ben Johnson thing does intrigue me. It really does. I don't think they'll go with a first-year head coach again, and I think that's probably the right move. But if you were to do that with Ben Johnson, I think you'd have a much healthier ground to stand on than you did with Jerod Mayo. In 2025 NFL, it's a lot easier to, it's a much safer platform to stand on to say, well, you know what? I brought in an offensive guy, an OC who worked magic with the Lions. And we thought he was ready to be a head coach. We wanted to take an offensive look at this. We've had a lot of trouble drafting skill positions on the offensive side. We feel we have our franchise quarterback. We've got him on a rookie contract. We want a guy who can bring in the personnel that is going to have to make our quarterback as successful as possible. That's a lot easier to say, even in failure, than it is to say we promoted a linebackers coach who didn't know anybody around the league. And we arranged a marriage with him and the OC. We arranged a marriage with him and the GM, the quote-unquote GM, Elliott Wolf, who is really not the GM, and nobody knows. It's like who owned the Chiefs in Slapshot. Nobody knows who the GM of this team is, really. Nobody knows where the buck stops. And that's what's going to make this Mike Vrabel thing really interesting, is in that athletic piece, Vrabel more or less laid out what he wanted, right? And it was, good ownership that he could communicate with, control, and a quarterback. And the Patriots have probably 2 of those 3 things. I know Kraft has worn down relationships with Parcells and Belichick, and that when they weren't in Belichick's ear every day, they didn't like it, and they ended up firing him. But I think you'd have a good, honest, open communication with them and Vrabel, at least for the short term. You do have the quarterback. But it's a huge question mark for anyone interviewing for this job where the control is in this organization and what kind of control the head coach has and where the buck stops. And it didn't help that you just went through a whole year where everyone else was throwing people under the bus and passing the buck. Okay? Like that does not help. But it becomes a legitimate question going into this new coach in 2025 of how much control are they going to have. And again, if you're the Kraft family, right, you're probably not going to get a Bill Belichick again, but I just don't understand how you go through 20 years of that and not think, you know what, maybe it's best to just get whoever we think the best candidate is and give them control of the team, or at least, final say on personnel, because apparently Elliott Wolf doesn't even have final say on personnel. Who knows, man? Who knows? And GMs around the league, these anonymous polls around the league talk about Elliott Wolf being the most agreeable front office guy in all of football. Who wants that? Who wants that? And his first draft was almost a complete bust. And I say almost because they did draft Drake May, which is the most important of any of the offseason moves. Every other offseason move sucked, every single one. And at 3, once the two other quarterbacks were gone in the 24 draft, what else were you going to do but pick Drake May? You weren't picking Marvin Harrison. You weren't. There was just no way. You had to pick a quarterback. So The only thing he got right in the offseason in 2024 was the foolproof, the idiot proof. Like, you had to draft this guy. And not to say that it was foolproof that he would be very good in year one, which he was, but foolproof in that you needed a quarterback. You'd already traded Mac Jones. You needed to go and get somebody, or else Bailey Zappi and Jacoby Brissett were your quarterbacks for the future. So, and then you were going to wait for this quarterback draft in 25, which everyone knew was going to be a weak draft, and it's looking weaker than ever. Weaker than ever. Taking a gamble on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, and then what? Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, sorry. Like, who do you go to? Quinn Ewers could potentially be in that mix. It's not a good quarterback draft. So all that to say, Elliott Wolf in the most idiot-proof pick possible, which did work so far. That was the only good move he had in the offseason. So yeah, I would think anybody that comes in here, any coach that comes in here is going to want some control. And I think it's silly that Burt Breer is calling this a sham from the Patriots, because to be honest, at this point, it's a sham around the league. It's a sham of a rule. And I think it's insulting to minority coaches who are, just going in there for a token interview. And it stinks. And then you got to wonder, is it a token interview or is it not? Or are they being serious? And then you've got a game where these minority coaches are wondering whether they're going into a real interview or a joke interview, because each team has to interview a minority candidate. So the whole thing is a sham. Don't say the Patriots are cutting in line. In fact, they're waiting their turn with the guy they actually want. I think that's the most important part of all of this. Why can't they wait in line, wait their turn why don't they go through the process like the Jets? The Jets already interviewed Mike Vrabel. So Thursday becomes a pivotal day in Patriots history. I have a prediction that by Monday we will know who the Patriots' next head coach is. If they can interview Ben Johnson, which again, they're still waiting for confirmation. And as we found out with the Bears, you can be denied. Imagine being denied, like as bad as the Patriots situation is, and it could be even worse if they don't get Vrabel. But imagine being denied an interview with Mike McCarthy, with that fucking bum. And the Cowboys are like, no, we don't think you should interview him. That's probably saving your ass, Chicago. Why'd you want him? Nobody's, and it's also petty by the Cowboys because they have 9 more days to re-sign him, to give him a new contract, and they're not going to let him interview with another team. Cowboys are a sneaky mess too. Even at 7-10, they're a sneaky mess. Anyway, the whole thing's a sham. The Patriots are a sham in a lot of other ways. This, they are not. They want their guy in Mike Vrabel. They interview him tomorrow. By Monday, he'll probably be the Patriots head coach. Coming up, it was an interesting night for the Celtics last night. I did stay up till midnight watching this game. Celtics and Nuggets. Is this the gut check win that the Celtics needed? And were they missing their best player last night? We'll talk about that coming up next on the Cam Show.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Download Blogify now in the App Store. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSIM-X. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at eSIMX.com. That's ESIMX.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been, no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy. Man. I'm happy to have you today.
Nah, thanks for having me. And you know we always family, no matter where I'm at.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe
more relaxed. What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The first thing you referred to that I've spoken to some personnel people and general managers of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that.
Has the general manager changed at all in the draft room?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
Roll on with the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I do have some good news to report before we talk about the Celtics. Great news for the Bruins, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. But great news for the Bruins. This is from Connor Ryan, Boston Globe. He was at practice today at Warrior Ice Arena. Says the Bruins closed out practice with a group hug. Stanley Cup, here we come. Buy at the deadline. Buy. In sync this trade deadline because they had a group hug at practice, baby. I don't give a shit. They lost 5 in a row and they're awful in just about every statistical category and are somehow not one of the worst teams in the league. They had a group hug. Power of friendship, baby. Power of friendship. I stayed up late last night. I was watching that Celtics game in Denver. Because NBA League Pass stinks and never recognizes me. So I pretty much only watch them when they're on national TV. But great late night basketball on Tuesday, the Celtics and the Nuggets. And look, the air was kind of taken out of it a little bit before the game. We already knew Aaron Gordon wasn't going to play. And then like a couple hours before the game, it's announced that Nikola Jokic is not going to play. Just eat your heart out, man. We were going to have the NBA's Players of the Week, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, lacing them up in Denver. And instead, Nikola Jokic, a little sick, a little under the weather, out of the game. And the Celtics really showed like Jokic was not out there early. They had a 15-point lead in the first half. And then the Nuggets started coming back. And they made a game out of it for a good part of the game, man. A really good portion of the game. And during it, I thought, I wonder if both teams don't have their best players. Because not only was Nikola Jokic out with an illness, but Derek White was also out with an illness back in his home state of Colorado. Derek White, man, he just still, I know he gets plenty of love from Celtics fans, but still does not get the respect he deserves across the league. I mean, like it was kind of a bit thing in like in the 22 season when the Celtics got him at the deadline and then they made the run to the finals and he was making really big plays for them. And a little bit in 22, 23 as well of like, oh, Derek White, like he's one of the most underrated players in the league. It's now not a laughing matter. Derek White is the most underrated player in the league. Like he probably won't make all-star teams, but if you look at the guys on the all-star teams, you can find more than a handful that are not as valuable as Derek White to your team. Like he just does everything so well. And that's the thing I always say about him is that it's not that he has a great game every night, but he never has a bad game. Like you're never like, oh, Derek, stop. Derek, stop shooting. Stop giving him the ball. Where was Derek on this play? Never. It's never like that. And he's got to be my favorite Celtic, man. He's just so much fun to watch. And I go back to one of the great lines that my girlfriend ever said last year. She's not much of a sports fan, but it was in that first round against Miami in the playoffs last year. I'm watching game 3 or 4, and she's like, I don't know, scrolling on her phone, and she casually asked me, she was like, okay, so who are like the Celtics, like big players? Like I know about White, but who else? It's one of the great lines she's ever said. Like I know Derek White is the alpha, but like who else is out there for the team? I was like, oh, you ever heard of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown? Maybe you heard of him. And it's that same series where Derek White goes for like 35 plus in both the games in Miami, where you're like, and one of them, Lionel Messi, was at the game. And someone, I wish I remembered who, had the great tweet of, man, Lionel Messi pulls up to the NBA and he must think that Derek White just runs this league. Like he's the Messi of the NBA. And there's kind of a lot of truth to that, but in that particular series. But Derek White, man, he will never, ever get the respect he deserves. I'm convinced of it. I hope for his sake that he does make an all-star team at some point because A, he deserves it, and B, it's something that is great to tell your grandkids, right? Like, yeah, I played in the NBA. I won a championships maybe, and I played in the All-Star game. Like I was on a team with LeBron James at one point. And he could say I'm on a team with Jason Tatum because I'm going to keep banging the Jason Tatum MVP drum. Okay. I'm going to keep doing it. I know it's insufferable, but I'm going to keep doing it. And you're going to look at the box score from last night. You're going to say, Cam, you shot 1 for 9 from 3. What drum are you banging on? And I will say, man, I just watch Tatum every night. I watch him every night. And honestly, guys, it's a privilege to watch him every night. He's not a great three-point shooter. I wish he would take less threes. I wish he would improve that part of his game, which it looked like he had improved in the first couple weeks of the season. Not the case. If I could, I would put a shot collar on him to not take contested threes anymore. But other than that, that's where his efficiency numbers goes down because he misses threes. But he is a fantastic player, and he's been great in crunch time this year. Like he had 3 or 4 possessions in a row, just big time plays to put this game to bed last night against Denver. It was 93-93 with 8 or 10 minutes left in the game. And then the Celtics go on a 15-0 run and bang, the game is over. The game is over. And Tatum is doing a ton of that, man. And the defense they played without Derek White, the defense they were playing, Russell Westbrook just didn't want the basketball at the end of the game, just kept handing it to the Celtics. And Tatum is out there. He's taking mismatches to the paint, dunking, getting to the free throw line, making beautiful feeds. Again, his playmaking is so underrated. And I usually think this guy is a bumbling buffoon, but Stan Van Gundy was really singing Tatum's praises in the nightcap last night on TNT. Like one of these days, they're going to learn. But if they don't, they meaning the greater NBA media and fans, and yes, specifically Twitter, then it's their loss. And like, I get it. You see better highlight clips from Nikola Jokic, and Nikola Jokic is a better player, but you watch Tatum night in, night out, and you realize the value this guy has and that he is a top 5 player in this league and that any team in the league would take him. Any team in the league. And it's a privilege to watch. And his biggest knock is that he has good players around him. And I will say the greatest thing you could say about a player is he makes the guys around him better. And while I think Derek White and Jaylen Brown, obviously Drew Holiday, Horford, Porzingis, they all have great talent. Make no mistake about it, Tatum does make them better. Those guys make Tatum a little bit better, but he makes the whole team better. And he's out there every night, and he is the best player on the best team. And if y'all don't want to see that, then that's fine. We'll just revel in it in Boston. What we won't revel in is the Boston Bruins. This is not a good stretch, and it got pretty ugly for the Bruins general manager in their own barn last night against the Oilers. We'll tell you about it next on the Cam Show.
Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at BestBuy.com and upgrade your tech today.
We've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but, you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
Back here on the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. Look, I just don't really know what to say about the Bruins anymore. You know, like, I've gone up and down on them this year. Never did I think they were very good, but I thought, probably before Christmas, that they were solidly the last playoff team in, the last wild card. I just didn't see, I said it plenty of times on the show, I didn't see how teams like Ottawa and Montreal, Detroit were going to catch them. And they were playing some good hockey, actually, right around Christmas time. The 23rd, they had that great third period against Washington, and they held mighty Washington to like 12 shots on goal the whole game. And they won it like 4-1, 5-1. It was probably the high watermark of the season, probably the best win of the season. And really, since then, it's been shit. Like real shit, man. And they lose to Edmonton last night, 4-0. That's 4 or 5 losses in a row. 5 losses in a row. Am I right in that? And it just looks as bad as it has all year. And I get it. Edmonton's a really good team. Obviously, in fact, the whole hype of this game was come see the best player in the world playing at your barn, and Leon Draisaitl, pretty good too, right? Like, this is a team that went to the finals last year. And in fact, Connor McDavid has not scored since that game tire against the Bruins in Edmonton a couple weeks ago. It's about a week before Christmas. And it was such a poor performance last night again. And they fall down 1-0, and then they kind of wake up. This is the latter half of the first period. The Bruins put in a charge. I remember it was 4-1 in shots by the time Edmonton went up 1-0. Bruins get it back to 4-4. They have a couple good shifts in a row. And then the next thing I look, it's 10-4 in shots. And it just continues to get worse throughout the game. It's only 1-0 at the end of the first, but the Bruins weren't really competitive. And then it's here we go again, business as usual. It's 3-0 at the end of the third, or excuse me, the end of the second. 4-0 at the end of the game. It's just brutal. It's brutal right now. The Bruins are just a mess of a team. They are in the bottom quarter of the league. So the bottom 8 of the league, and these numbers have improved the last 2 games, by the way. Bottom 8 of the league in power play, penalty kill, goals against, goals for. Okay? They are a minus 24 on the year. A minus 24. And again, Tampa and Ottawa right behind them. Tampa's only a point behind them. You got them next on Thursday. Ottawa's 4 points behind them. But Tampa has 5 games in hand. And Ottawa's got 4. And their goal differential, if you're interested in that kind of thing, Ottawa has made it up to an even 0. Tampa, the team right behind you with 5 games in hand and only 1 point behind, is a plus 33. Think about that. They are 57 goals better than you at a plus 33. There's no world, there's no optic, there's no way you watch this team and say, yes, they deserve to be in the playoffs. And there's no way you can watch this team and say, boy, I hope they make the playoffs. That's going to benefit the franchise. It's just you're running into a black hole. Like you're running into nothing. There's no hope for this team, and there's no real hope for the short-term future of this team and this franchise. Because again, we were all entertained to the gills by the World Junior Championships. It was an awesome event. I ranted and raved about it on Monday's show, talking about how the skill there is just off the charts. It's so fun to watch. And then you sit back and think, boy, There is one NHL team that does not have a single prospect at this tournament, and it's the Boston Bruins. I mean, it's the friggin' team, the U.S. team that wins gold back-to-back is basically a Boston travel team. They're all from the Boston area. They all play at BU or BC, and somehow the Bruins don't have a stake in any of it. None of them are their prospects. And it's not because they're getting picked in the top 5. All right? Cole Eiserman's picked like 20th to the Islanders. You have all these opportunities to scout these guys more than anybody else. And what the hell is Don Sweeney doing? He's either trading the first-round picks, right? Or he's drafting stiffs like Johnny Beecher from Michigan. Boy, how's that working out for you? Even one of my guys. I'm a big Mason Lowry guy, Ohio State. And he has been in an absolute tailspin the last month here. He's been horrible. Horrible. -3 last night. Now, he's a young kid. I really do think he has a bright future, but it's a tough watch right now. And I feel really bad for Joe Sacco, too, because it's probably his last shot to be a head coach in the NHL. And, I mean, what do you have to work with? He seems like a really good assistant coach and a good guy. Everyone raves about him. Loves this organization. He's a local guy, and he's going to be gone after this year because he's thrown into the fire with this just dog shit team. Dog shit team. And I'm glad the fans are starting to let the team know how they feel, but I don't know if the noise is loud enough. But not only did the Bruins get booed off the ice last night once again for losing 5 in a row, but these chants start breaking out in the third period. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? Yes, fire Sweeney. Most of us have been on that train from the beginning of this season. Because, like, oh, you got Big Bad Monty out of the room. I think that was a good thing. The Bruins needed a change, and we don't know what Montgomery's style was. But I said it from the beginning. Montgomery is not the biggest problem here, not by a long shot. The biggest problem is the roster, which, therefore, the biggest problem is Don Sweeney. And even the biggest problem at the time with Montgomery was there was a clear divide between the head coach and the front office, the GM. Because not only did they were on 2 different planes in terms of what style they wanted the Bruins to play. Like, that was pretty obvious. Montgomery loves a speed team that does win in the NHL these days. And the Bruins, Cam Neely and Don Sweeney, wanted grit. They wanted tough. They wanted big. And so they went out and they got Nikita Zadorov and Elias Lindholm, a good defensive center, but not a center number 1. And they paid him to be center number 1. And they like Zadorov because he makes big hits. And it's a complete failure. This team is a failure. That free agency window is a complete failure. And I've had this thought in my head since the end of free agency. And I'm not going to revisionist history this. I didn't mind the signings at the time. I didn't love them, but I was like, okay, I'm here for, maybe you look at that Florida series and you say they do need to get a little tougher. I would say there's like 10 other things you could look at in that Florida series and say, well, they also need to improve this. They need some more team speed. They need to put shots on the friggin' net. They need to have some secondary scoring or some primary scoring in that series. And they need some guys who can handle the puck at the back end. I would have said all of those things were more important. But hey, Florida's got a grit to them that you don't. But even after this free agency window, I sat here and I thought, did the Bruins actually get better? Did they become a better team? And even at the time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know that they did. And certainly now, probably a month into the season, actually, you could have looked at it and said, no way. They did not become a better team. And last year's team fooled us. It's almost like you got career years out of Charlie Coyle, Trent Frederick, Danton Heinen, Pavel Zacha, and maybe Jeremy Swayman. It's almost like that happened. And this year, the guys who do have back are not having career years. They have reverted back to the mean. They have reverted back to what they are. And what you have is a dog shit roster, a dog shit lineup that you're putting out there every night. And apparently Elias Lindholm is supposed to help ease some pressure, take some pressure off David Pastrnak. Boy, what a win that was. So let's look at the 2 free agencies that Don Sweeney has handled. Okay? It has yielded you the late Jimmy Hayes, David Backes, Matt Bolesky, Zach Ronaldo, Elias Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, Jeremy Swayman. That's what it's yielded you. That's fucking awful. Like the guy, you don't trust him with free agency. You don't trust him with the draft. The only thing he has kind of done well are free agency, not free agency. The only things he has kind of done well are trade deadline deals. And even then, you did it year after year after year. You mortgaged your future. And at the end of the day, it didn't work. You made it to the final once. You made it to the conference final once. And you traded all these draft picks. And now what? You've got the 32nd ranked farm system in the NHL, and you've got no prospects playing at the World Juniors. This guy has set them back years, if not a decade. And of course you should be saying fire Sweeney. You should have been saying fire Sweeney at the beginning of the season. And instead you're like, nope, Montgomery's the bad guy. We'll be okay. We'll bring in Sacco, who just didn't have a chance. Like really, didn't have a chance. And you thought you could sneak into the playoffs. It's not happening. You're not getting into the playoffs. I mean, it's just a matter of time before Ottawa and Tampa go and surpass you. I mean, it's just, it's really too bad, man, because I thought the Bruins had a shot this year to improve the roster or at least run it back with enough talent to be a postseason team that could actually make some noise. Because right now, the best case scenario, they can sneak in as the 4. They're not going to make any noise. And they're going to be in the worst spot possible, really, is they're going to be just on the outside looking in. And that is just the worst. Just the worst. Because what are you going to get out of that? You're not going to rebuild your team through the draft. You're certainly not going to do it with Don Sweeney. Who's Don Sweeney drafted? Johnny Beecher? That's it? Like, that's all you got? He didn't draft Pastrnak. You didn't get the steal of Pastrnak. It's just, McAvoy. McAvoy is who he's drafted. Swayman, sure. Oh, that's not looking that great right now as your franchise goalie. Other than that, he doesn't get anything right. And yet he just gets a pass. And it's not been like his tenure with the Bruins has not been complete dog shit because they've won and they've re-signed key guys. And like there is something to be said for that. But you look at when this thing was starting to go south and when this team was starting to age out, what has Don Sweeney done for you? Name one move that made your team better in the long term. And that's not to take some of the blame from these players because there's, look, 5 in a row is 5 in a row. All right? Like that's a product on the ice. And I do have big questions about leadership. I love Marchand. He's one of my all-time favorite Bruins. He's a -5 now. He's never had a full season where he's been a minus player. It's probably going to happen this year. And there's no one incident I can point to. It's like he's being a bad captain, but there's clearly a leadership issue. And it's him, and it's McAvoy, and it's Pasternak. And so, okay, you usher Marchand out the door. Maybe you throw him a bone like you did with Ray Bourque, and you trade him at the deadline, give him a chance to win a Stanley Cup. But then what? Like, then who's your captain? And I don't even know what the hype is around this draft coming up. It's about 26 when you can get Gavin McKenna. I don't know who the top prospects are in this draft, and you're not going to be in it because you decided to not suck. You just sucked a lot, not the most. Okay? You should have done what Chicago's doing and just tanked this thing. And instead, we're just going to watch mediocre hockey, and there's going to be a point in a couple weeks where they win 3 or 4 in a row or 6 out of 7, and you're like, maybe I'm going to be something. I'm going to be the dipshit on here saying, well, maybe they've got the structure and they figured this out and they can play the defense in the playoffs. It's necessary. They're fucking not. They're not. And the talent gap is just humongous, man. They don't have the talent. And they don't have the structure in place as an organization. It's going to get worse before it gets better. This thing is going to bottom out in the next couple of years, probably the way it did in 96, 97, when you got 2 top 10 picks, number 1 pick in the draft, and drafted Joe Thornton. That's probably what it's going to have to do. That's probably what it's going to have to be. And honestly, right now, I think their goal difference is worse than it was at this point in 96, 97. In fact, they're on pace to score less goals and give up more goals than they did in 96, 97 when they were the worst team in the league. One of the worst Bruins teams ever. This team is going to statistically, in some statistics, be worse. So you got that to look forward to. This is going to get worse before it gets better. This is a bad, bad state of affairs for the Boston Bruins. And yes, it is time to fire Don Sweeney. It's been time to fire Don Sweeney. And do yourselves a favor. Go find the best guy. Don't give me a fucking Bruins guy. Don't give me a Cam Neely guy, because Cam Neely should be fired too. Don't give me this incestual Bruins bullshit. Go out there and get the best guy. Like you did with Chiarelli. The end of Chiarelli was not good. I don't forget that. But he did bring you a Stanley friggin' Cup. Okay? Go out there and get the best guy. I don't give a shit where he's coming from. I don't give a shit what accent he has. Go out there and get him. And let's turn this thing around. And maybe it don't bottom out to the number 1 pick. But right now, that's probably what it's headed towards. Thanks for joining in on the Cam Show today. Be sure to like the video, subscribe. We're dropping new live videos every day at noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central here on the YouTube channel, and then it's wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then on the Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.